If one sentence could summarize his life, it would be, with his pen, he could bring peace to the land. On horseback, he could stabilize the empire. This man had intended to join a rebel army led by a former classmate, along with his brothers in arms. But the general on the city wall mistook them for refugees fleeing the disaster. Speaking with utter contempt, the general shot a warning arrow to stop the man as he dismounted and approached the city gates. Yet, completely unfazed, the man pointed directly to his own head. The general immediately loosed another arrow, only for it to be shot down mid-air by an arrow from a young woman standing behind the man. Stunned by the young woman's incredible marksmanship, the general was left speechless. To avoid unnecessary trouble, he ordered a cart of military rations to be brought out, hoping to send the group on their way. With a dismissive and arrogant look, the general clearly regarded them as mere beggars, which deeply infuriated the brothers in arms. The general then tossed a half-eaten steamed bun to the man's feet. At that moment, he had no idea that this repeatedly humiliated man would eventually become a legendary general resisting the Jin Dynasty, famously leading 50 men to defeat an army of 500,000. The man's name was Xin Qiji. The year was 1162 AD. The Southern Song Dynasty was fractured and in a highly precarious state. Taking advantage of this weakness, the Jin army launched a massive invasion, committing horrific atrocities as they passed through Xin Qiji's hometown of Sifengjia. During this critical moment of life and death, the 20-year-old Xin Qiji raised a volunteer militia to resist the invaders, engaging in life-or-death combat with the Jin forces. However, facing overwhelming odds, the militia suffered heavy casualties, leaving only Xin Qiji and his childhood friend to fight on. To make matters worse, the brutal Jin soldiers rounded up the captured militia members, executing them publicly if they refused to surrender. When it was the turn of Xin Qiji's childhood sweetheart, Shuang Hua, the Jin commander Hu Erba suddenly called a halt. Seeing her beauty, he harbored malicious intent and tried to drag her into his tent to assault her. The fiercely defiant Shuang Hua resisted to the death, biting him in anger. This action completely enraged Hu Erba. Shamed into a fury, he threw her to the ground and drew his broadsword, intending to cut her in half. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Xin Qiji arrived just in time. Wielding his sword, he fought fiercely, quickly cutting down the surrounding enemy soldiers. Next, Xin Qiji engaged Hu Erba in a fierce duel. Seeing Hu Erba overwhelmed by Xin Qiji's relentless attacks, the captured militia members felt a surge of morale and began to fight back. Xin Qiji quickly untied Shuang Hua before throwing himself back into the fray. Using his immense size and strength to his advantage, Hu Erba managed to push Xin Qiji back. With a roar, he lifted Xin Qiji high into the air and slammed him violently onto the ground. Seeing this, Xin Qiji quickly adjusted his tactics. Relying on his agility and versatile moves, he soon completely overpowered Hu Erba. Seeing his forces utterly routed, Hu Erba attempted to flee alone. Spotting him, Shuang Hua immediately drew her bow and fired, but her arrow failed to pierce Hu Erba's heavy breastplate. Furious, Hu Erba charged back with a spear. Suddenly, Shuang Hua's younger brother threw himself forward, taking the fatal blow for his sister. Hu Erba then seized the opportunity to flee back to his base in defeat. After wiping out the remaining Jin forces, Xin Qiji looked at the devastation around him and vowed to reclaim the lost territory of the Song Dynasty. However, without troops, how could he expel the invaders? Xin Qiji realized he needed to build a proper, disciplined army. He and his few remaining brothers in arms set off for the city of Tai'an to join forces with his former classmate, Jia Rue. With their support, driving out the Jin forces would be within reach. His companions gave him their full support, and the group set off immediately. Arriving at the gates of Tai'an the next day, they were met by the defending general, Zhang Angguo. Seeing their disheveled appearance, he mistook them for refugees and subjected them to mockery and provocations. Before Xin Qiji could even speak, Zhang Angguo shot a sharp arrow at him. Xin Qiji explained their purpose, stating he had urgent matters to discuss with the military advisor, Jia Rui. Ignored by Zhang Angguo, another arrow was shot at him. Fortunately, at that critical moment, the master archer Shuang Hua shot down the arrow to protect Xin Qiji, leaving Zhang Angguo utterly shocked. Meanwhile, inside the city, Jia Rui and the commander-in-chief, Geng Jing, were locked in a heated argument over whether to attack the Jin army. The battle-hardened Geng Jing insisted on launching an attack on the Jin supply caravan to capture food and replenish their own provisions. However, the cautious Jia Rui adamantly disagreed. The Jin escort consisted of 5,000 elite troops, while their own forces numbered only 2,000 to 3,000, making it nearly impossible to rival them. Frustrated, Geng Jing cursed, accusing Jia Rui of being nothing more than a cowardly scholar. As the argument reached an impasse, a soldier arrived to report that Xin Qiji was requesting an audience. Upon hearing this, Jia Rui flatly refused to see him and ordered Zhang Angguo to send them away with a cart of military rations. Following the order, Zhang Angguo arrived outside the city gates with a cart of grain, his face filled with arrogance. The brothers-in-arms felt deeply humiliated, believing Jia Rui was treating them like beggars. Seeing that his men were ready to fight to the death, Xin Qiji quickly stepped in to restrain them. He then requested Zhang Angguo to pass along a message once more. If they could not see Jia Rui, they would wait outside the city gates until he agreed to meet. Yet, even after 3 days had passed, there was still no response from inside the city. Late that night, several of the brothers-in-arms grew restless and started grumbling about backing out. Xin Qiji spoke to them earnestly, explaining that the Tai'an militia was the largest force in the region, and if they hoped to defeat the Jin, they had to leverage their strength. Shuang Hua was puzzled. Jia Rui is your former classmate, she asked. Why did he shut us out? Xin Qiji smiled and explained. Years ago, Jia Rui had tried to convince him to take the Jin dynasty's imperial examinations, but Xin Qiji, fiercely loyal to the Song Dynasty, refused to serve under the Jin invaders. To stop Jia Rui from committing treason, Xin Qiji deliberately got him drunk on the eve of the exam. Jia Rui slept for 3 days and 3 nights, missing the exam entirely, and he had held a grudge against Xin Qiji ever since. Jia Rui proposed a deal. If Xin Qiji could lead an auxiliary force of 800 soldiers and intercept the Jin army's supply caravan, he would be allowed into the city. Seeing Xin Qiji's furrowed brow, Jia Rui assumed his proposal had successfully intimidated his former classmate. To his surprise, Xin Qiji responded that he would only need 500 men. Jia Rui smiled contemptuously, settling in to watch the young man fail. Over the following days, Xin Qiji and his men lay in ambush along both sides of the canyon through which the supply caravan had to pass. Once the enemy had marched deep into the gorge, Xin Qiji gave the command, and dozens of fiery boulders came rolling down the slopes. Caught completely off guard, the Jin forces descended into chaos, unable to find their bearings amidst the billowing smoke. Seizing the moment, Xin Qiji led his men down the hillside, charging into the fray with broadswords raised. Sensing disaster, the Jin commander ordered his soldiers to raise their shields and form a defensive wall. But Xin Qiji had already anticipated this. Under his direction, another group of militia members perched atop the cliffs began hurling jars of flour. The fine white powder blinded the Jin soldiers, throwing their retreating lines into utter disarray. With Xin Qiji leading the charge, the militia quickly gained the upper hand. In a desperate bid, the Jin commander ordered his archers to fire, but this frantic move only backfired in the confusion, causing massive casualties among his own troops. Seizing the opportunity to strike at the head of the enemy, an increasingly formidable Xin Qiji leaped off a comrade's back, plunging his blade directly through the Jin commander's chest. With their leader gone, the Jin soldiers threw down their weapons and surrendered. This battle was a resounding victory for Xin Qiji. Not only did they secure a massive haul of grain, but the feat also won him the absolute respect of the Tai'an soldiers. Xin Qiji entered Tai'an in triumph, immediately distributing the captured rations to the soldiers and local citizens. Seeing the crowd rally around Xin Qiji, Jia Rui grew deeply displeased. However, the commander-in-chief, Geng Jing, welcomed him warmly, praising Xin Qiji's courage and tactical brilliance. He then publicly announced that from that day forward, Xin Qiji was one of their own. That evening, the generals gathered in Geng Jing's tent for a victory banquet, where Xin Qiji, Geng Jing, and Jia Rui discussed their next moves. When asked about his plans, Xin Qiji stated that Hu Erba had massacred his entire village, and he was determined to seek vengeance. He had come to Tai'an hoping to gather forces to avenge his fallen brothers and family. He then declared that they should unite all volunteer militias, launch an active offensive, drive the Jin out of Shandong, and reclaim their lost homeland. Hearing this, Jia Rui slammed his hand on the table and stood up, scoffing at Xin Qiji's plan as a pipe dream. But before their argument could escalate further, a panicked soldier rushed into the tent, stammering that a fight had broken out between Xin Qiji's men and the Tai'an militia. Xin Qiji went out immediately to investigate. It turned out that the resentful Zhang Engguo had intentionally provoked the clash. As commander-in-chief, Geng Jing slapped Zhang Engguo without hesitation, warning him to stop causing trouble. The following day, after reflecting on the matter overnight, Geng Jing decided to follow Xin Qiji's advice and launch an offensive against the Jin. Jia Rui strongly objected. To clarify the strategic reality, Xin Qiji pointed to the map. Tai'an is currently surrounded by territories already annexed by the Jin, he explained. We are embattled on all sides. If we do not take the initiative to strike, we will eventually be consumed. Jia Rui countered that he had already considered this, but argued that their current forces were simply no match for the formidable Jin army. Just as he spoke, a monk entered the tent, claiming he could bring 5,000 reinforcements with just a single letter. When the monk removed his straw hat, Xin Qiji was both surprised and overjoyed to recognize his long-lost brother-in-arms, Yiduan. It seemed like a godsend. But was it really that simple? After drinking late into the night with his old friend, Xin Qiji woke up groggy the next morning. Suddenly, Zhang Engguo burst in with a group of men to demand answers. The commander's official seal had been stolen. This was a matter of grave importance. To prove his innocence, Xin Qiji mounted his horse and rode hard to catch up with Yiduan. With his treachery exposed, Yiduan stopped pretending. He confessed that he had already defected to the Jin, claiming that the Song Dynasty was on the verge of collapse. He urged Xin Qiji to join him on the winning side and stop fighting a losing battle. Furious, Xin Qiji severed all ties with Yiduan on the spot, declaring him a lifelong enemy. Once close friends, they were now bitter adversaries, divided by conflicting loyalties. They clashed in a fierce duel, but Yiduan was no match for Xin Qiji and was quickly defeated. Handing over the stolen seal, Yiduan begged Xin Qiji to spare his life for the sake of their past friendship. Softening for a moment, Xin Qiji agreed. However, as soon as Xin Qiji turned to leave, Yiduan attempted a cowardly sneak attack from behind. Xin Qiji neutralized him and decided to turn the tables, using Yiduan's name to send a false message to lure the Jin army into a trap. The Jin army fell for the ruse and marched to Tai'an, only to find themselves completely surrounded. Cornered, Princess Wanyan Chengmei defiantly declared, "If I die here today, the heavy cavalry of the Great Jin will crush Tai'an at all costs." Reluctant to harm the princess and escalate the conflict, Xin Qiji announced that everyone else could leave if they laid down their weapons, except for Hu Erba, who had to stay. Knowing this day would eventually come, Hu Erba drew his sword and charged at Xin Qiji. Although physically powerful, Hu Erba was reckless. Xin Qiji quickly exploited his openings, forcing him into a retreat. Shuanghua then stepped in and slit Hu Erba's throat, finally avenging her family and villagers. Following this victory, the highly respected Xin Qiji was appointed as the chief secretary of the rebel army. During his inauguration, he delivered an impassioned speech that sent morale soaring among the troops.
岂曰无益，与子同袍，驱逐外侮，生死不惧。驱逐外侮，生死不惧。干！
Under his leadership, the rebel army marched from victory to victory, recapturing 3 major cities in quick succession: Yanzhou, Xishui, and Jinan. Now, they needed only to take Zibo to secure a formidable stronghold capable of standing against the Jin forces. However, at this very moment, discord arose within the ranks. A soldier named Xiao Heizi defied military orders by pillaging grain from local villagers and deliberately harming civilians. Upon learning of this, Xin Qiji sought to strictly enforce military law and decided to have Xiao Heizi publicly executed as a warning to others. Geng Jing quickly pleaded for mercy, explaining that Xiao Heizi was a brother-in-arms who had faced life and death with him for years, and begged Xin Qiji to spare his life. But military law was absolute. Xin Qiji knew that making an exception would compromise his ability to maintain discipline. Having witnessed too many atrocities himself, Xin Qiji insisted that his army treat the common people with respect and equality.
从我带人起义那天起，便做了一个决定：若有朝一日我大宋能够收复失地，我绝不让任何一个百姓在大宋的土地上受这样的罪，遭这样的苦。
As the two men stood at an impasse, Zhang Angguo suddenly drew his blade, killed Xiao Heizi on the spot, and fled. Geng Jing cradled Xiao Heizi's body in profound grief. By this time, Jia Rui had fully accepted Xin Qiji's leadership. After some deliberation, the two decided to ally with the imperial forces of the Southern Song to launch a campaign against the Jin.
大帅深夜找我，可是有事商量。
兄弟，我不想打仗，
所以你要自立为盟。
没错。就算我现在不打四川，金人拿我也没办法。我要让弟兄们跟我过上好日子。
耿京，你知道什么是好日子吗？你见过大宋曾经的江山有多美吗？你现在睁眼看看，看看这里已经烂成什么样了。大帅，我从来都不想打仗，我一点儿也不想。但是有些事儿，我必须要去做。
The following morning, Xin Qiji traveled to the capital to petition the emperor. Upon meeting him, the emperor remarked that Xin Qiji was quite handsome, contrasting sharply with the monstrous rumors of his appearance. Xin Qiji got straight to the point, petitioning the emperor to send troops to fight the Jin and reclaim the Song territories. The civil and military officials at court immediately voiced their opposition, deeming his proposal reckless and suicidal. To prove his resolve, Xin Qiji signed a life-or-death pledge, declaring that if he failed to defeat the Jin, he would not seek to survive. Moved by Xin Qiji's determination, the emperor granted him permission to lead a northern expedition. Overjoyed, Xin Qiji rode hard back to Tai'an, only to be met with the devastating news of Geng Jing's death. Zhang Angguo, driven by treacherous ambition, had been bribed by the Jin and poisoned Geng Jing during a drinking session. Stricken with grief and anger, Xin Qiji wept uncontrollably before the body of his commander. At dawn the next day, Xin Qiji set out alone with his horse, determined to avenge his fallen brother and execute the traitorous Zhang Angguo. However, as he reached the city gates, he found his companions from Sifengjia already waiting for him. Knowing that Xin Qiji could not let this injustice stand, they had anticipated his quest for vengeance. Fearing for his safety if he raided the Jin camp alone, they had gathered to join him. Together, Xin Qiji and a band of just over 50 riders charged toward Zhang Engguo's stronghold. Taking down Zhang Engguo would be no easy task, as the traitor now commanded a force of 50,000 soldiers. Yet, driven by revenge, Xin Qiji had already cast aside all regard for his own survival. As they neared the camp, Xin Qiji ordered his men to hurl oil jars into the air, shattering them with flaming arrows. Within moments, the entire Jin camp was engulfed in a sea of fire. Taking advantage of the chaos, Xin Qiji swept through the camp like a force of nature, cutting down fleeing Jin soldiers. Spotting Zhang Engguo attempting to escape, Xin Qiji gave chase. Shuanghua moved to intercept the princess, Wanyan Chengmei, allowing Xin Qiji to focus entirely on his revenge. After a fierce clash, Shuanghua delivered a fatal slash to the princess's throat, ending her life. Meanwhile, Zhang Engguo donned his armor and fought Xin Qiji in a duel. Outmatched, Zhang Engguo was quickly subdued and captured. However, as Xin Qiji dragged Zhang Engguo out of the command tent, he realized they were completely surrounded by Jin forces. Recognizing Xin Qiji's exceptional courage, the Jin general Wanyan Basu tried to persuade him to surrender, but Xin Qiji refused to yield, declaring he would rather shed his blood than submit. Wanyan Basu wasted no more words and ordered his archers to fire. Arrows rained down, and the Sifengjia brothers fell one by one. In a desperate bid to shield Xin Qiji, Shuanghua was struck by multiple arrows and died in his arms. Consumed by rage, Xin Qiji locked his eyes on the Jin commander Wanyan Basu. Seeing that they were vastly outnumbered and that only a handful of his men remained, his surviving brothers used their own bodies as shields to force Xin Qiji out of the camp. Of the 50-plus men who rode into the camp, only Xin Qiji made it out alive, carrying the captive traitor Zhang Engguo with him. Upon his return, Xin Qiji had Zhang Engguo publicly executed, a move that brought immense satisfaction and closure to the people. Inspired by his resolve, the Song soldiers fought with renewed vigor, ultimately repelling the Jin forces. Yet few realized that had Xin Qiji lived in a better era, under a supportive ruler, his legacy could have rivaled that of Huo Qubing. With his pen, he could bring peace to the land. On horseback, he could stabilize the empire. He dedicated his life to the unification of his country. Unfortunately, born in the wrong era, his ambitions were consistently thwarted, leaving him to express his lifelong yearning and frustration through his immortal poetry.